effect for Charlie Ball. Throw us all forward, up and rally.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Empire Total War 2 with this Scottish campaign. The year is 1755. I can't exactly remember when we left off last time. I think I forgot to say the year last time, but the last video were sort of the two previous ones were back to back, so you kind of followed through that. But anyways, I went ahead and actually backed off Kurt Cowan's army and allow the Polish to build a proper force, so we would get a proper battle. So now there's actually 7,000 plus troops within Minsk, so we'll get a proper battle. With that, Finlay McGregor has now managed to get all the way to ancient Mesopotamia. Oh, Mesopotamia, I should say. Still a bit to go. Now, I thought here it's gonna slow him down walking through this bit, so I am recruiting a ship somewhere here. I'm pretty sure, or perhaps I forgot to do that. We should have a ship that will pick him up here and travel him this bit. So he doesn't have to go through the mountain passes, which I think would slow him down. Preferably, I'd actually have a fleet move him through here. But I don't control a port here, so I don't have any ships. Besides that, there is nothing else really important to say. I've been able to increase trade income a bit, and also since I've reduced the army upkeep, we're now up to 86,000 per turn, and I've saved up 1.5 million. So in case of war or my trade gets completely annihilated, I would be able to at least sustain this current minus, which we're at about 100,000, so I would be able to sustain that for 15 turns, perhaps. Given also that troops would be dying and needing resupplies, perhaps I would be sufficient for about 12 turns if somehow income would be completely, or my income would be completely wiped out. In terms of policies, there's nothing really changed here. Ministers, they keep dying back and forth. I'm trying to keep somewhat of a good perhaps a good staff. I am keeping quite a few though that are perhaps a little bit of a harsh reputation and stuff that gives minus to the lower classes. I had to let one guy go because he had fingers in the privy. I think it was the army guy who got fingers in the privy. Yeah, I noticed that once I removed him, I actually gained about 3,000 per turn that he was stealing out of the coffers. Still haven't figured out what the problem is with India. Why the trade there is completely blocked. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Trade with Prussia has opened up though, and I gain about 8,700 from them. Now I'm just hoping that we can open up the trade with Sweden. I'm not entirely sure why that it's blocked. Oh, it's blocked because this port is on fire. However, since the Danes have been completely banished from Scandinavia and now live out on this desolate island out here, we could... Oh yeah, there's still Russian navies patrolling here. That should aid though. Once I remove the Russians, that should open up the trade lanes, so I would get the Swedish and Prussian trade. Not that they can, they outweigh the Spanish and French trade, as I imagine that Sweden will provide a similar amount to Prussia, which is around 8,000, so only France they're 18,000, so not really comparable. Hopefully, though, I will be able to gain tax or enable the tax collection from a number of places in the Balkans here. That will hopefully help quite a bit. With that said, though, what we'll go ahead and do for this episode is that we'll deal with the Polish-Lithuanians once and for all. They're gone. And then I will see about moving Finlay MacGregor as close as possible up to Russia, but we'll leave it off before the war. So with that, oh yeah, I moved my fleet. Oh yes, this. I moved some troops over here so I can push this navy out, and I probably need to send some more ships here because the bloody pirates, the Islamic pirates, are all over the place. So I should actually dispatch the large navy to go down here and aid me in removing a lot of their influence. Potentially, that could be part of the reason why it's blocked to India. I don't know how it works, but maybe that's how it works. Perhaps then we should get rid of this ship before we go ahead and start the battle against the Polish-Lithuanians. Perhaps, I wonder, imagine if it's this, if it was the fact that this port was burned. If this port gets fixed and all of a sudden I'm gaining like 20,000 per turn extra just because of that. I wonder how much I'm missing from the trade with the loss of the Indian trade. Who knows? Right, let's go ahead and have ourselves a fight. So we deploy 7,100 men against 7,700. With that, let's march to war. Right, the battle is about to start, or it did start for a little bit. The enemy sent their winged hussars straight into the guard infantry. So they took a hit, but so did the winged hussars, and it also looks like they want to send their grenadier regiment right into my grenadiers. Gonna angle this brigade slightly to face that, and it looks like there's a bunch of cavalry coming this way. I've got Henrik's Lions ready to move up. And right now the Polish Grenadiers are ending up in a crossfire in between the Highland Grenadiers. Oh, that's another... No, that's Cuirassiers coming at us. Oh, they want to fire pistols. Be my guest, because we fire a lot harder. There's a crossfire going on here between the Royal Grenadiers and the Irish. There's a little bit of an impassable terrain here, so I would order the Irish Brigade to advance here to get a better angle. Unfortunately here there's a lot of stuff happening right at the start, so not really able to tell you what's going on more than this. So yeah, the fight is on, and it looks like I'm winning currently anyways. Right, my artillery is ready to set up on the left side. The Poles ended up setting as far away back as they could, so it's taken me 15 minutes to march all our way across the field to actually get to this spot, but we're now ready to attack. A little bit worried here that the Polish Grenadiers are actually winning this fight. We have lost 40 men here, while they have lost 40, and I mean, currently they're getting fired from two sides here. I'm gonna order, see if I can get these guys a little bit further back, just enough to perhaps take a little bit of heat of this brigade. I'm gonna hold fire. These cuirassiers are just riding up into readying to fire their pistols. Probably would have done a lot better if they would have charged in. Yes, they are. Oh, and they fire point blank. Unfortunately, it's a bit too late. Okay, so the I think the Polish Grenadiers have switched and are targeting the Irish, and we just massacred this unit right here. I'm gonna order the entire brigade forward, so that we might get 2 units then facing down the 1 Polish unit. And with that, so the cannons, as you can see, on the left, we've got the cuirassiers lining up behind them. We've got the Guard Brigade right here, with Culloden's Own right over there, followed by Scottish Line Infantry. Then here in the center, we've got the Irish with the Freedom Fighters right here, and then James Graham's Own right there. Followed up by Wallace Warband, the MacDonalds of Clan Ranald and Jared for that one, and behind them we've got the Lord Gordons, which has been a bit mixed up here, where we have Gordon Highlanders right here on the center left. Right, and then we know where everyone is. And then, of course, Henrik's Lions over on the right here. Yes, you know what? Time to advance. My artillery has been pummeling and destroying the battery over here. It's going to destroy a few more batteries, I think. What I'll do is specifically order them to deal with the enemy batteries here before we advance. The mortar is easy enough. Looks like the Polish did not... Oh, we're under their minimum fire. And looks like they're sending out some provincial cavalry to try and deal with my artillery. I will order the Guard infantry to march up to be in step with the artillery, and will order the entire line here to advance to be in step with that. And then I think the Grenadiers will actually move up. Actually, they'll be in the way then of Henrik's Royal Lions. I keep saying Loyal Lions, but I guess that's... they're loyal as well. So they can sweep down the hill here once the order is given, and then the cuirassiers will be able to come out from behind the artillery. Oh shit! The enemy artillery is responding with fire of their own towards the cuirassiers. The provincial cavalry will actually reach the batteries. Oh, perhaps I should not order them to fire their pistols, as it probably killed quite a lot of our own there. Right, the enemy was forced away, and the battery is still... they're still fighting. So that's good. But the problem is here that we will, I guess, continuously take enemy fire during this artillery duel, so I'll order the cuirassiers to move back to take less fire as the cannon duel continues. Right, I'd say we'd advance to start this fight, shall we? Get the brigades forward. See about crushing these Poles once and for all. As I think the Grenadiers will in fact be within firing range, what I'll do is I'll move them to here and then move them forward in step with the others, as the guards and the Irish are about to shoot this thing down, so that we then have an easier time to advance directly on to the Polish formation. And Henrik's Lions will be able to sweep down from the side here. Right, so now they'll be in a little bit better of a prepared position as I now order them forward to fight down the enemy. It looks like we are going to start more of a fight over here, so I'm gonna order the Irish Brigade to hurry forward, and it looks like we're gonna have to move this brigade quite far forward as the enemy is kind of tilting towards the Royal Highlanders. Okay, they're I wouldn't say retreating, but they decided to reform in the face of our advance here, which is perfect because they keep taking artillery fire, and I'll be allowed to get Henrik's Lions into a better position there. Right, they've kind of moved away from the Grenadiers now though. They're still firing round shots, which is good. But I think we need to make one more jump forward here and see about shooting that down completely. So I hopefully don't have to worry about that. Right, marching straight towards the Irish now. Coming up here, loads of them, which is, they're kind of far away from this side. So what I'll have to do is something like this. Be more quick and responsive compared to a lot of previous battles. We should do a similar thing on this side. We should start to wheel up parts of the brigade. Looking at the situation, I think this side is probably the one that's going to need reinforcements. So I'm going to move the Lord Gordons over there, so they'll be supporting that side. And looks like I'm going to have to swing this even further than I thought. And then the Royal Grenadiers with the reinforcements here. Get them up to that, and then Henrik's Royal Lions will come out to the road. Don't want to push them too far because you can see my cannon shots are bouncing through there. Guard infantry is now facing some mortar battery that have decided to start melee fighting with us. Actually very high losses on Culloden's own, and a big part of the Guard Brigade. They've already lost like 100 men each, so I'm going to order them back. Since there's a melee charge here, I'm backing them up with this Scottish Line Infantry. And then these 3 units in the back will slightly move forward, and then they'll take the front line so we don't get the Guard Brigade here completely destroyed. Heavy fighting here in the center, not entirely sure what's going on because there's such a mess. However, it looks like all my units have are firing pretty well onto the enemy. Heavy fighting for these 2 regiments right here. Let's see. Gordon Highlanders. We'll move these 2 to be ready to plug that gap, and this line is now stabilized with lots of enemies retreating. Actually, we'll put the entire Lord Gordon Brigade into this mess right here, and what I'll try to do is I'll try and get the 2 regiments that are fighting here, get them to actually pull back to safety through here, and I'll order the batteries now to hold fire, so get the heavy cavalry through there, and that also allows for Henrik's Lions to move up on this side. Right, order the Gordon regiments to fire at will, although I think the enemy is kind of too close for the fire at will to go through. The enemy cannons are still firing, and they're kind of firing through their own men. You should be firing at will, but I think they were picking, kind of picking a bad target there. Alright, we're holding fine everywhere. What I do think is perhaps the Irish Brigade needs to advance potentially, although I'm a little bit unsure what all of these guys are going to do. Let's take a look at what Lord Gordons are doing. They're fighting a lot of pikemen. And I figure they are going to break pretty soon. I'm going to push in the second part of this. And the heavy cavalry is now coming forward. I'll order them to fire at will. Perhaps pistols alone will send this Grenadier regiment packing, which would be good. I think it... Oh, pikemen. Charging headlong into pikemen. I think we'll break them though. Good, now you can hold fire. So the pikemen kind of messed up in their advance there. You 2 can now hold fire. The heavy cavalry dealt with that. They need to come through there. Right, these 2 need to go forward to the Janissaries. There's a mass rout in the center now. The Lord Gordons have sent the pikeman away. The enemy is forming a square there in response to the cavalry charges. I don't think it's going to work too well. Order Lord Gordons to hold fire. Still some units that are firing over there. Order the front line to hold fire. Order these units to hold fire. All the Lord Gordons will advance and hit that pike square. Or not pike square, that square. Which actually broke in response to that. So what's left? A Janissary right here, which is getting taken care of by the Irish. We've got 1 musketeer, the line, fighting with the Irish Brigade. It's just the Irish brigade now, and the Janissaries retreating. We have some units, the cannon actually, still fighting. And we have a pike unit that is rallying in the back. I'll be ordering all the cavalry now to leave through the back there. I'll order little Lord Gordons. And this cavalry unit needs to leave, but I'll order... Ooh, the Lord Gordon Brigade has managed to gain a lot of chevrons. There we go, the battle is won. Well, the enemy is trying to retreat through our lines. I'll order these 2 infantry regiments forward to block that, but otherwise the battle is over rather quickly, and it is a devastating loss for the Polish army. All their pikes dead here in the center. The Lord Gordons, together with the guards and a number of other with the Irish as well, completely massacring them. There we have it. Victory over the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. I think this is a fitting end to that empire. And here's the result of the battle. We deployed 7,158 men against the Polish 7,744 men. We ended up losing 1,712 soldiers, while the Polish lost their entire force. However, of course, a lot of those, since it's a town, everyone gets killed. What's notable though, that counting as enemy killed is 7,618. So it's not a big difference in terms of the troops that sort of were just deleted and then attributed to us having killed them. We lose about 200 or so from friendly fire. When it comes to highest kill, we go on Irish Brigade. I think this is not one of the named one. The one furthest on the left that was able to fight a little bit with those units. I think that's the one that got 590. I could be mistaken. Scottish Line Infantry. Not entirely sure which one this is either, but they have 96 men remaining. Then it's another Irish Brigade. Then it's an artillery unit. They managed to get 391 from just firing round shot into the enemy. Lord Gordon's regiment managed to get a lot. You can kind of see the amount of troops remaining here as we go kind of through and see if any of these are named. I imagine Lord Gordon is one of these that did, or like a named unit. Irish Brigade did a lot. Right, so you can kind of see if you go through and you see, I think this one is the Freedom Fighters, and then this is the second one, Graham's Own, and then I can't remember which Culloden is. It's not actually that easy as I thought it was. It's easy on this list, but you can't actually see who's who here. But normally I've named the first ones, so besides this one right here, I've named the first ones are the named ones. Go ahead, prepare all of this, make it easier to hand it over to Sweden. And I think as we hand it over, we should ally with them. With that though, we're gonna have to break the alliance with the Russians, see if they get unhappy over that. But I think I can do at least one end turn before I go ahead and hand it over. Polish-Lithuanian nation destroyed. Let's go ahead and quickly have a look here. So, as I thought, it's the first one is the Freedom Fighters, and then the second one is James Graham's Own. So we kind of got an idea of how many men they have left, and you can kind of go and check if you did well. Then we have Gordon Highlanders here, 110, 5 experience points, that's good. Culloden's Own, 3 points, 117 men. Let's see, and then all these one, Wallace Warband, 224. And then we have Jared, 240, not a single man lost actually from Jared. MacDonald, Clan Ranald, not a unit lost there either. I guess this unit was in reserve to such a degree that they weren't actually used. Didn't I have one that was called something else? Oh yeah, the Gordons moved to Gordons, that's why. They did not stick among the other units, right, that's what. And then, I mean, the heavy cavalry, they always do well. Let's go ahead and end turn, see if I can prepare a little bit for my war against the Russians. They have Russian troops all the way up here. They're still putting up good resistance against Sweden. Kind of surprising here. Another thing that might happen, which I realized last time, was because a lot of people broke alliances and stuff, with the Zaporozhian siege is that they were a protectorate of Poland. They're no longer a protectorate of Poland. So now they're the free agent. Could be that they decide to declare war. Who knows? If the Polish-Lithuanians thought it was a good idea to declare war on me, what could their former vassal think? Although it looks like they're actually running out of money. So perhaps not. Perhaps not going to war. And here we are after the end turn. No war from the Cossacks, which is good. Local knowledge, one of our spies. A ship to carry the Bengal army. And then we have town being built up there. And arsenal in Poland. Naval board there. And great estate here. We're trying to grow the villages here, but they grow very slowly. There is no negative effect on population. We're growing by 1.5% per turn, yet still it's going to take 67 turns to turn this village into a proper village, which I don't know why it's taking so bloody long to do that. Let's see. I'm gonna have the army leave, and I'm gonna have my spy leave as well. And we're gonna hand it over to the Swedes in exchange for an alliance. The Swedes have been sending offers of alliance quite a while. But first, I need to break my alliance with the Russians. Then I'm going to request alliance from Sweden, and in exchange, we're gonna hand you Belarus. Technology exchange? I would like bayonets, but I'm sure you would say no. It would also be nice with military access. I would offer the indefinite. Actually, I hate it when the AI moves around in my territory. Because they do stupid shit. And then I'll offer you 25,000. Wonderful business is concluded, and now we're allied with the Swedes. This army will be heading... I guess it'll be heading here for now. At this point it could actually be diverted to deal with the Russians. My spies should be heading this way actually, to figure out what's going on out there. I'll send two to take a look at the Russians. I think I have another spy here that could, or I do have an army right by, so I don't need to send any spy to keep an eye on the Russians there. Perhaps it's better to spy on the Russians though than to spy on the Prussian capital. Right, so now we're allied with the Prussians, with the Swedes, so we've got the eastern side of Europe. The eastern side of Europe is about to collide with the western side of Europe in an epic war. One thing that I did note though during the end turn was this little bastard. We've got a whole host of all kinds of nasty pirates of all sizes and shapes heading into Egypt. They're gonna first burn my military hospital, and then they're gonna try and head for Cairo. Now, I guess I could go ahead and recruit like a Cairo army to try and hold them back rather than divert the Bengal army. The Bengal army would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns to head to Cairo. I think the pirates are faster, so I would come too late anyways, and I need to send you against the Russians. So continue on your journey, and we will scramble to build an army here. We'll be having I can have Turkish. Palestinian soldiers will be recruited. And then further away, Arabic light auxiliary cavalry will be brought in. And we'll fix that general later on. Some cannons would be nice, but probably gonna have to be smaller caliber or something that is able to be recruited rather quickly. So either the 8-inch mortars or the 3-pounder guns that will be within 2 turns. So that has to be recruited to deal with the pirates. And then I guess we'll have our own sort of Middle Eastern army that will head out to deal with all these pirates. Besides my fleet. Oh yeah, these guys should be deleted. And then the fleet will go and deal with this one little pirate ship. Galley attacking with Greek fire. Wonderful. What trains did he gain? Lack of bottom. Minus morale in battle. When this man is discussed in polite society, his tailor attracts more praises than his courage. Huh. And good news! Did he... I guess he got afraid of the fire ship. Right, that's dealt with. I've got the main fleet. It's stuck in Gibraltar, isn't it? Yes. Now it's passing through. They've got a shitty little shipyard here. We'll go in and burn that before we head further here. It looks like they have taken every stinking rotten bastard out of all their holdings to bring against me, because there's not a lot of people defending. Here's the second port. There's already someone there blocking it though. Good. Let's go ahead and end turn and see if we cannot fight down this pirate army. And we're back after a couple of end turns. It's the summer of 1756 at this point, and I've been able to recruit my Arab army. We've got Arabic auxiliary horse, light cavalry. We've got Palestine horse. We've got Palestine infantry. We've got Palestine cavalry. And then we have Turkish line infantry, as well as 3-pounder batteries and 8-inch mortars ready to march out and deal with the pirates. The pirates took a break. They didn't actually burn the military hospital even. So I don't know, ethical pirates that take like a 1-year break or so, just waiting halfway in between here. Anyways, my Arab army doesn't care about that, so they're gonna march their way through here and just crush all of it. Meanwhile, I've already ordered the Finley McGregor has landed here, and he's ready now to set his sight on marching through here. Now, I don't have military access with the French, and it might be stupid to set that up when we're perhaps going to war with them pretty soon. So I wonder if I would march through here and fight them that way instead. What I've gone ahead and done is I've prepared the fences here. We've built a wooden fort. Fort Drumtuchy, perhaps. With a load of Russians and Farquhar Whitney. Whitney Farquhar. Some of you may die. Yes, he's in charge of it. I could recruit yeomanry cavalry, but I feel like that is not going to do a lot with this fort. Anyways, hopefully they'll lay siege to it, and I'll be able to hold that a little bit longer, or at least slow them down until Finley gets there, while they're only holding here in Europe, I was about to say, but here Königsberg should fall within seconds. I think ending... I do think, though, ending the Russians will help a lot, because then the Swedes do not have a main adversary that they're constantly fighting. Same with the Prussians. So they will actually take the time to repair their countryside, which is burnt all over the place, and hopefully we get some pretty good allies out of this. It's gonna mostly be with the Prussians, because the Prussians border the French down here, and then they also border the Spanish up here. Both these areas I will go ahead and advance through, so I'll have my armies ready to march through these areas. So we'll have one Italian campaign. I think I will be sending 2 armies down this way, and then I'll have one marching its way through here. And perhaps then, I'm sure I'll set the Netherlands free and make that its own nation, even though culturally now there's very few that still cling to the Dutch culture. There's siesta people now. Right, I do think, though, that we'll leave off the pirate fight until the next episode. But we're all on the same page now of what's going on. So I think this will be it for this episode. So I will say, like I always say, hopefully you guys enjoy this. And oh yes, good. I was about to completely miss something out. This was the linchpin. Is that the right word? This port, Limassol, on Cyprus, was the linchpin to why my Indian trade didn't work for some reason. So all the Indian trade seemed to, rather than flow this way, which we can see only 3,500 of that trade flowing through here, most of the trade was actually going through here and then into this port, Basra, in Mesopotamia, and then it went through here, and I guess even though there's no green line going through it from one of these ports, and then the trade had to go to here, and then from here back to Scotland, because look how much trade is coming out of Cyprus. 20,000. So that's all the trade out of, I'm guessing, most of the Middle East here. Most of the Middle East and all of India. All that trade is, for some reason, needs to be routed to Cyprus and then back. Which means that Cyprus is a really important port, which I really should put... let's see, isn't that... Where is the smaller fleet? There. It's in Malta, which is not even... It's not important at all. Limassol, instead, is super important because all the trade from India has to go here before it goes to Scotland. So now I'm actually making... My trade income has actually jumped above my tax income. So that's good news. The bad news is King Charles III. He's 30 years old at this point. I had kind of high hopes for him, but he started off patron of the Navy and a stallholder, so pretty good. Then he got the landscape gardener, not very good, minus to the lower classes, because apparently he bulldozes villages to build nice gardens, which are very expensive. So I imagine this landscape gardener he's got hands in the privy, so for some reason all the farms now become 10% more expensive. Then he's got a mistress, which is not that bad. It gives 1 happiness to nobility, but part of this mistress stuff is now that he has no sense of shame, another plus for the nobility, and doesn't really give any negative points. But the mistress leads to no sense of shame, leads to morally impaired, which now affects his management of the kingdom. The guy is so perverse that he's so into the perverse stuff that is actually affecting the kingdom. Mistress, no sense of shame, morally impaired, and then a landscape gardener who builds extravagant gardens for him, squandering all the money we're making. Right. So now he's only a 2-star king. I don't even think that Spanish... he's 95 years old! I was about to say, maybe it's not politically correct, but I was about to say the retarded king of Spain even got 2 stars. This guy actually got no stars. A freak of nature. Okay, so the Empire is actually me calling him the R word is not as bad as Empire calling him a freak of nature. Raving and drooling. He's got -5 to management. And he's got because of this he's also got -5 to management and -4 for prestige during each turn, and then he got fingers in the privy, meaning that he's now actually -7 in management, -7 in management, and -1 happiness to nobility. Court composer though, so that weighs it up a little bit, so that 1+ happiness to the upper classes. Pet hermit, okay, so 2+, and then constructing for all industrial buildings +5. The 95 years old. Oh, imagine playing as Spain. There, you know, it's like we say, it's Spain without playing as Spain. Is Spain without the S. It's just pain. Imagine playing as that, hoping that your drooling, raving lunatic of a king would... Can't you just die, you bastard? He's 95 years old. He's 95 years old, and he's ruining Spain. Right. I wonder, his head minister must do something right, because they have been conquering some territories, and I think they've probably they're doing quite well in the colonies, but all of that is squandering on the fact that they've got an absolute animal as their sovereign. Right. Enough of that though. I fixed India. And next time I'll go ahead and fix those bloody pirates and the Russians. And hopefully, after all these side quests, we'll be ready to take on the Spanish. Hopefully we'll take on the Spanish before they get a new competent king. It would be just my luck, wouldn't it? That he's 95, so he'll die any second now. But he'll die, and then they get like some super Terminator type king that just cuts me in half or something. Anyways, with all of that said, it's high time to end this episode. So, as always, I will say as I always say. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye.